My name is Lexi Jong, and here I like to talk about luxury makeup. Today we're talking about the two new luminescent eye shades from CHANTECAILLE. So this is part of their fall collection. They are also releasing some lip cheeks as well. And some of these shades are re-promotes, some of them will be new. And those were not available at the same time as these. These are all part of the fall collection, by the way. And everything in this collection, I believe, is limited edition, including the lip cheeks, at least the lip cheeks in that packaging. So the shades, some of the shades may be permanent, or you might be able to find them in other packaging, but they are, the packaging itself for this collection is limited edition. So these are the two luminescent eye shades, and let's just take a second and take a look at this information. So each of these luminescent eye shades are 2.5 grams or 0.08 ounces. They are made in Italy, and both of these are going to be supporting Sujan's impactful conservation work, protecting leopards in India and tigers respectively. So everything, this is what they're calling their India collection. So the lip cheeks and these luminescent eye shades, they are all going to be working on promoting and helping to support protection of some of India's wildlife. So inside you got a little pamphlet. So this is the one from the tiger one. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but it gives you a little bit of information about the particular animal that, this is supporting. So in this case, they're talking about the wild tigers that used to roam across Asia and how many are left, what's been going on and so forth. So this information is on their website, so feel free to go there and read it. And then for these, they do have an 18-month shelf life. I have a little short up that shows these in pristine collection, but I have been using these for a few days now. So they are they're not in perfect condition anymore. And I have to say, these are different from the regular luminescent eye shades, or at least the leopard shade is. So here's the tiger. So you do have a mirror up here, and then you have, this is going to be your shade. You can see that the outside of these is more of a coppery bronze shade compared to our regular luminescent eye shades, which all have a black and white or grayscale photo of the animal, and you've got that gunmetal on the outside. These again are going to, it's actually interesting, but these new ones, they say 18 months shelf life, and my older ones say a 12-month shelf life. So I'm not sure if that's due to a formula change or perhaps they're just updating the dates on there, but the sizing of everything is the same. They retail for $52 US. Now, originally when these launched on the CHANTECAILLE website, they were listed as $59. CHANTECAILLE did go back and make that correction, and they refunded everybody who had purchased them at $59. So, they are $52 US, just like the rest of these. You can see that the original luminescent eye shades all have this gorgeous leaf pattern, whereas these, which are limited edition, instead they have more of this stripe pattern, which you can see a little bit of the stripe left there. These shades can be used wet or dry. So here is leopard. Just gonna swatch this here, and let's see when you kind of buff that out. So you can see that it's really more of a satin finish, a little bit of a metallic glint to it, but it's not really all that shimmery like the other luminescent eye shades. Leopard's a little bit different. And then you can see here that tiger is going to be more sparkly. It's more similar to the regular ones. But I do find that these formulas are slightly different than the other luminescent eye shades. So we'll talk about that. But first, let me go ahead and share with you the clips. I played with these quite a bit, and I filmed a lot of my play sessions, so you can kind of see how things compare. So I've got a couple of looks, 2 or 3 looks in there, as well as, different comparisons. So we have, synthetic brushes versus natural, wet versus dry. We have an eye with the Leopard shade compared to the Giraffe shade, which in my opinion, they are fairly similar. So you can kind of take a look at those, and we'll come back. We'll talk about the formula difference, at least what I notice about the formulas, and we will do some comparisons as well. Okay, so we are going to start off with the Luminescent Eye Shade in Leopard. You can see I've already swatched it. And we're going to go into the Chikuhodo. This is the Z11 brush. So I'm going to put this crease. Wow, that's more pigmented than I thought. I was thinking, you know, this being a squirrel hair brush and being very soft, it wouldn't pick up quite as much. And I don't know, I just thought that would be softer. That is definitely vibrant. I'm gonna just kind of move some of that product down onto the lid. Okay, I'm gonna wipe off the brush and I'm just gonna kind of buff this area a bit, try to remove some of this. So buff and then wipe and buff and wipe. All right, so I'm just gonna take a little bit more shadow and just stick it down here. There's kind of like a little bit of a bare spot or a thinner spot along the lash line. So I'm just gonna kind of swipe there. Just make sure it's fully on the lid. So there's that eye. Let's see if a different brush goes a little bit softer. All right, so we're gonna try a synthetic brush, and this is the Omnia BOM 430. It's just a longer crease brush, and just gonna get a tiny bit of product up here. And let's see here. So yeah, that's definitely going on lighter, softer. I probably picked up less product there as well. Partially because, you know, I was expecting that, but I just re-dipped, and yeah, you can see how much I'm like going in there. And yeah, if you want a soft look, try a synthetic brush. I'll try some other brushes too and see how those perform. But as of right now, I'd say the synthetic just definitely gives you like that softer blend. So let's go ahead and put some on the lid with this brush also and just see, you know, how the two eyes look together. So I do have some cleanup to do, but these are the two eyes. So this is with the Chikuhodo Z11, and this is with the Omnia Synthetic Crease Brush. I still think that the intensity is stronger with the Chikuhodo. So this side here is a little bit darker and deeper, and it takes a little bit more effort using the synthetic to get that same level of depth essentially, but they both apply the shadow beautifully. So it really just depends what you are looking for. All right, so I just used my finger to remove a little bit of the shadow up here, but I will clean that area up at the end. I just want to make both eyes the same. So I'm going to take the Chikuhodo Z11 and just get a little bit of product to put right on the lid. I'm going to leave the crease the same, but just adding a little bit more so they are a little bit more even. All right, so we're gonna do the same kind of look where you've seen in all the promos where they've got the brown leopard shade all over the lid, and then they're lined with the green tiger shade. And really, when you're lining with this, you want to use it wet, but I'm going to show you wet and dry just for demonstration purposes. This is the Refer 23. You can see it's just a small pencil brush. And I'm going to just twirl into the shadow here. And we'll do this eye dry. And when I do this, I'm not sure if you can see, but I'm twirling the brush. So when I run out of fresh pigment, I re-dip in the shadow. And this helps keep the green very vibrant instead of spreading it out. All right, so there it is dry. And let's go ahead and I'm going to dampen this and we'll do it wet on the other eye. All right, so my brush is lightly dampened and now I'm just going to go ahead and twirl this. When I dampen the brush, I did wipe off any excess water on the back of my hand. You can see where it's a little wet. And let's go ahead and see how this one goes on. So there are the two eyes, wet and dry. I have to say there's not as much of a difference as I expected. I really thought that the dry eye would be less vibrant, and it is slightly, but it's not that big of a difference. So if you're somebody who doesn't like to use them wet, you know, you can still get plenty of impact with it dry. So definitely, I think that's really good to know. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take this Refer 23 brush and I've got, let's knock off a little bit more. Got the green pigment on here. I'm just gonna edge this closely to the lash line. You can see I'm getting like right in there. So I'm not going on the waterline, but I'm going right against it. All right, so there's that. And then I'm gonna take this brush, I wiped it off on the towel. It's pretty much dry. I'm gonna get a little bit of the leopard shade in here as well. Now you can see just going into this that the texture of the leopard shade is firmer than the green. And I'm gonna put this right underneath the brown, right underneath the green. Again, it's very pigmented, definitely darker brown than I was anticipating when you go in lightly. All right, so I wiped the brush off and I am just gonna lightly kind of blend those just a little bit. I'm focusing more on softening the edges of the brown, but I did, you know, go in a little bit over the green as well. All right, so that's it for that. I do want to add something to the inner corner, and I am going to grab a Chantecaille highlighter, actually. So this is the Chantecaille highlighter in Eclat Brillant, and I really like this, but I use it sparingly because for me, it's very, very gold. I'm just going to add a touch of this, the inner corner here. Just bring that up a little bit and down a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna finish my makeup. I'll see you in a second. And this is the final look from a distance. So I finished it off with the new Ilia mascara. This is the fullest volumizing mascara. And then I have the Jones Road Brow Pencil on in Ash. Foundation is Givenchy 1N95 in the Prisma Libra foundation. Blush is a Chantecaille cheek shade. This is Grace, the Sea Turtle. And then on the lips, I started off, they have like new lip cheeks that are coming out as part of the collection. And I believe 3 of them are re-promotes and 3 of them are new shades. So Honeysuckle, one of the re-promos, is one that I have. It's one of my favorite colors. So I started trying that, but it's too pink for this look. I didn't like it together. So I switched to a lip veil in Tamboti. This is the shade that actually came out when the Luminescent Eye Shades first debuted, you know, a few years ago. So that's everything that I have on. All right, so I just wanted to play a little bit with the CHANTECAILLE shades. So I'm taking the Smith 235. You can see it's a fluffy, undyed Go hairbrush. And let's see how sheerly we can get some of this on. So this is, you know, just lightly tapped into the product. I just want to see how sheerly this can go because the leopard shade really surprised me putting that on. We'll try it with the leopard on the other eye as well, but let's just see what that looks like sheerly. All right, I cleaned off the brush, but we're going to use the other side into the bronze. You can see that this one looks a little bit firmer in the pan. So let's see how softly. So swiping it across is how much product you get. So that looks about the same. So I feel like the bronze, well, this leopard shade is a slightly different formula than the other luminescent eye shades. It feels firmer pressed, and it's kind of like when it glides on, it's just, since it's firmer and not as loose, like even as the Tiger, it kind of glides on more. So I feel like it's really meant more to use with like your finger, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain. So speaking of that, let's go in with the fingers. Okay, so this is leopard. So it's a very thin formula, and it feels like it just kind of needs to kind of be pressed on essentially. So this is it with a finger. It's a very pretty shade. In contrast, you can see how much more shimmer there is in the Tiger shade. And just add a little bit more here. So that's with finger application for both of them. And then we'll do one more time with it wet. All right, so I dampened the Smith brush, and let's go ahead. We're going to start with the leopard shade. Just going to go into this wet. You can see how much product comes up very, very easily. We're not going to worry about super neat application right now. I'll be taking this off in a minute. I also want to compare this with the Giraffe shade. You can see that this really gives it a lot more of that like sheen to it. There's a shine. Let's see what it looks like when it dries also. All right, so Tiger shade. I mean, look at that. That is stunning. I definitely recommend this green shade wet. I think it makes a huge difference, and it looks like a true emerald on your eye. All right, so I let these sit for a couple minutes. You can see what they look like dry. They still look almost just as vibrant as they did when I applied them wet. So I want to compare the new leopard shade with the CHANTECAILLE Giraffe shade. I feel like these swatch very closely. So let's see what these look like eye to eye. You can see there is a slight difference in color, but they do look pretty close. So start off, we're going to put the Giraffe shade over here on my right eye, and I'm using the Synergy Worker 3 brush. I'm going to take the other side of the brush. I did wipe it off, but I'm going to take the other side into Leopard. So you can see going on that the formula definitely behaves differently for both of these. All right. So this is the difference between them. I do see a little bit of a color difference. I'm not sure how noticeable it is though on the eye, so let me know what you guys think. Let's go ahead and apply both of these with the finger. Starting with the Leopard shade here. Moving on to Giraffe here. So let me know what you guys think. I definitely do see a slight color difference, but really the majority of the difference to me is the texture of the formula and the amount of shimmer that you're getting. You can see that Giraffe is definitely much, much more sparkly than Leopard. Leopard is much more subtle. I do see that Giraffe has a little bit more of a reddish tone to it than Leopard does. Leopard's more golden bronze versus a reddish bronze. And like this one here is more like coppery. Let's see, what do they call it? They call it burnished brown. So I think they're close, but they're a little different. And again, formula-wise, I think they are different. This is your traditional luminescent eye shade formula. If you've tried one of them, this is what they, for the most part, they all feel like. You know, you've got this like texture here where it's like it's super easy to pick up. You get plenty of pigment. It's very shimmery. You do get a little bit of sparkle fallout, of course, but it's a really, really great formula. Whereas this other one, the Leopard, is a little bit different. So, you know, it's firmer pressed in the pan, and it's like there's a little bit more adherence once it touches something to the lid. So while it also, you know, blends out nicely and so forth, it's different. Because it is a thinner texture, it's kind of more like you have to paint it on instead of a powder that kind of, you know, blends and shifts more easily. This one, you really want to make sure you have product in contact with that portion of the lid. Although if you saw my first eye look, you know, you'll see that if it does blend out easily, it's just the initial application, essentially. You need to make sure you have enough product there, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, this one's definitely different. You can see it's also less shimmery than other luminescent eye shades, whereas the Tiger has about the same amount of sparkle as the other luminescent eye shades, in my opinion. All right, so while we're here playing around, let's kind of do a reverse look from what we did yesterday. So we're gonna put the green all over and then use the brown as the eyeliner. So this is the Rephr 01, and let's go into this. And I'm gonna get a soft layer of this first. And you can see I have some glitter on my cheeks from taking this off before. So I want some of this in the crease, but I wanted to make sure it was light enough because I just want a little bit up here. So I put some down here first. We'll just add a little bit more. All right, so just a little bit there. And now we're actually gonna move in with a wet brush. All right, so I'm gonna use the Smith 235 that I was using before. And just gonna get some of this up here. All right, so I'm going back with the Refer 01 and just going into the crease area there, just very lightly, making sure that's blended. All right, so there's that. And now let's play around with the brown. So we're gonna take the Refer 03. We're gonna try this the same way we did yesterday. One side dry, one side wet, see if it makes a difference. And let's just put this on here. This one is dry. And then I'm going to use a little bit of this on the lower lash line as well. I'm going to put it dry on the lower lash line over here. All right, so let's try it wet. All right, so same brush, just dampened. Got a little more product. So dry versus wet. So I think color-wise, they look pretty much the same. Looking closely, I can see more of that metallic finish with the leopard shade where I've used it wet, but nobody's gonna get that close to your eye. So I think they are pretty similar. Using this size brush, using it dry, obviously I have a wider swath because the bristles, you know, splay out a little bit compared to using it wet where it's more more compressed because of the water, essentially. So, I mean, that's just a difference in the appearance here, but overall, I think they are pretty similar. So I just wanted to show you those from a distance. Do you see any difference between the dry versus the wet eyeliner? All right, so I have the Viseart eye primer on. We're gonna start off with Leopard, and I'm using the Givenchy Crease 2. I'm just gonna get a little bit of product on, and we're gonna go ahead and put this in the crease. All right, so I'm gonna take this brush. I'm gonna get a little bit more product on it. Just gonna kind of pounce this in the outer corner here. And next I'm going to take Tiger, and I'm going to use my finger for this. I'm going to go ahead and place this. I'm just kind of tapping it on the rest of the eye. Just get a little bit more. So I'm going over part of the leopard in the outer corner. All right, so now I'm just gonna take the crease brush. I'm just gonna kind of buff that area just a touch. And I think I'm just gonna dip into Tiger just a little bit and add a little bit there so the shades kind of blend a bit. Ooh, probably shouldn't have done that. I'm gonna do both sides and then I'm gonna take some of this off. So I wiped off the brush and I'm just gonna kind of try to buff that a little bit. Next I'm taking Cheetah. So this is one of the permanent ones, and this is a soft definer from the Givenchy Lotus set. Just gonna get a little bit of product on here, and I'm gonna put this in the inner corner. And I'm gonna go into Leopard with the soft definer, just get a little bit here. I'm gonna put this on the lower lash line. And I can see I've got kind of a mess here. So I'm just going to, you know, kind of clean this up a little bit more, and then I'll add some eyeliner and stuff. Let's see what to add. I think today we're gonna use the Chanel Emerald. What is that called? Vert Emerald. It's this one, number 46. So let's use this. These colors go beautifully together. So there it is. If you want something that matches, this is a good liner. If you want something deeper, the Chantecaille Black Forest is a good option. It's a little bit darker green. Let me show you. All right, so here's Black Forest. And you can see that it's really more of a forest green with a touch of teal. And then this is the Chanel 46 Vert Emerald. You can see it's just a little bit more green. Depth-wise, they're pretty close, but the Black Forest, because of that teal component to it, it's just a little bit deeper on the eye with this green. And one thing to note, they both have just a tiny hint of shimmer in them, but you can barely see it. All right, so still messy. I'm going to take a clean crease brush, clean that up, finish my makeup. I'll see you in a second. All right, and this is the final look from a distance. So I added the new Ilia, what is this called? The Fullest Volumizing Mascara. And on my skin, I have the Givenchy Prisma Libra foundation with the Auric Glow Lust underneath, and the Armani Neo Nude Cheek Balm in 020 underneath the foundation as well, just a touch here. And then for the blush and highlight, it's the Makeup by Mario in Soft Coral, along with the Creamy Peach Powder blush on top of that, and the Opal highlight. And on my lips, I have one of the new Givenchy Sheer Velvet lipsticks. So I have number 16, which is called Nude Bois. And yeah, so that's everything that I have on right now, and see you in a minute. So I hope that was helpful. Now, what I have come to realize, to me, what is most similar to the leopard shade would be those Bobbi Brown Luxe eyeshadows. So this is one of the quads that came out last year. I'm just gonna swatch the chocolate shade. There is a difference. Now, these are kind of more like a pressed, almost like a pressed cream. But the way they go on, I'm going to put this above the Chantecaille here. The way they go on is very similar. You know, the feeling that you get from the Chantecaille Leopard and the Bobbi Brown Luxe, I think is very similar, but this feels more like a cream, whereas this feels more like a powder. But that like resistance, the way it adheres to the skin, I feel like that is very similar. I feel like they are very, very close in that respect. So that first shade that we swatched, that was chocolate. Let's also swatch chestnut. Some of these shades are available individually from Bobbi Brown as well, but I just wanted to compare these here to the leopard shade. And then let's take a look at the Chantecaille Giraffe shade. So this is the one that I think is most similar in color. However, the finish on these is different. So you can see that they are very, very close in color. The Giraffe shade is a little bit more red and Leopard is a little bit more golden. And you can see that this is going to be richer, more sparkly. There's more shimmer in it. It is the traditional Luminescent Eye Shade formula. Whereas again, this is a little bit different. It's a little bit firmer in the pan and less shimmery. It has a little bit more adhesion to the skin as well. It doesn't budge as easily. So it's actually almost like you have primer built into the leopard shade. It's really kind of like it sticks that well. Now, another comparison here, this is one of the Dior singles. This is a satin. This is Poncho. Okay, so we've got leopard, we've got poncho. You can see that poncho is going to be similar in color. It's kind of like right in between giraffe and leopard because you've got a little bit more shimmer to it than leopard, and the color I think is kind of right in between the two of those as well. So let's look at some comparisons for Tiger as well. And this one is the Chanel Empreinte du Désert quad. This is actually my favorite Chanel quad, and I absolutely love this. The green in here is stunning, and I love the formula of these. So just to show you how those compare. This is really more finely milled shimmer, whereas this one actually has, you know, true like glitter pieces in there. And you can see that the base on the Chantecaille is going to be a little bit deeper. You can see when you buff it out, there's a little bit more gray in there. And the tones of the green are slightly different. The Chanel is going to be a bit brighter. Let's also take a look at the dark brown shade here and compare that to this one up here. Yeah, this is going to be a lot cooler in tone. Then we have the Linda Hallberg Enchanted Mysteries palette. This is the shade Lacuna, which is this really gorgeous emerald green. Look at this. You can see there's a little bit of a color shift there. Let's just put that on here. You can see that that's going to be richer. This also, you can see a little bit of a grayish black base, but you can see, you know, they're different. This Linda Hallberg shade it's more like a Pat McGrath shade. Right, and here is Dior Lucky Clover. And this one you can see has a black base. And then this is one of the Pat McGrath quads. And I think this one is Nocturnal Nirvana. I don't have my packaging anymore. The name, I don't see it written on there. But you can see the difference in color. Again, you have kind of that black base. You can see how that compares to the Linda Hallberg. They really are pretty similar in formulation there. And let me just swatch this Tiger shade Wet. And in the little short, I do have these shades done wet and dry. So if you want to see them wet and dry, you can see that there as well. But you can see that when you use it wet, it's much more similar to the Lacuna shade from Linda Hallberg. Although Linda Hallberg, you can see there's a little bit of a color shift in that one as well. Whereas this one, it doesn't, it just shimmers more. Okay, and next we're going to take a look at the bottom two shades here from the Dior Nightbird palette. These aren't quite going to match here. This one shade is really more of an aqua shade. And this is the bottom right, which is closer, but you can see that it's got more teal in it compared to more of an emerald green in the Chantecaille. All right, so that's basically it for comparisons of shades that I have, but I do want to swatch all of the Luminescent eye shades so you can see those together. So let's start off here with Zebra. And this one came out for the holidays last year. You know, I think actually let's use the other arm. So here's Zebra. And this is their rose gold shade. This one here is Cheetah. This is one of my very, very favorite shades. This is more of a champagne. That, so pretty. This one here is Crane. This is the one that came out with Zebra last year for the holidays. And you can see it's more of a red-based plum. And the shimmer in there is actually like there's pink shimmer in that. And then we have another purpley shade called Pangolin. This one is a little bit softer. Let's put that one here with Crane. Look at that. It's very beautiful. I love this color. And there we go. Beautiful. So the shimmer on this is also going to be pink. This one here is Rhinoceros, which they actually describe this as olive, but to me, it's so dark that it doesn't really look that olivey. It's really more of a deep, really, really deep olive gray with multicolor shimmer in it. So on my eyes, I don't really see much olive, to be fair. Like it really looks, you can see there's like a little bit of a brownish base in there, and here, you see that? So there's a little bit of brown in there. It's like really, really, really deep olive army green. My all-time favorite shade is the elephant shade, which they call a gray taupe. So a gray taupe shade. And I love this. This is my favorite. It's one of my favorite one and done shadows of all time. I absolutely love it. I think it's stunning. And then moving on, we have Lion, which is going to be their Copper Doré or Golden Copper shade. And it's another really pretty shade. Look at that. Here is Giraffe. Beautiful. I mean, these colors just all together, they look stunning together. I love the collection here. And then the two newest, we have the Leopard shade here, which again, all of these other luminescent eye shades, all of these up here, you can even just see like with swiping how the formula is different. These are a little bit more powdery, and I think part of it is the fact that the feather design on there is more raised. So that's going to, when you start rubbing into it, you're getting a little bit more surface area there. Just didn't get enough product of the green. But I do think, so I think that's part of it, but I do think that the formula is a little different, particularly with this one. I do feel like the Tiger shade formula is slightly less powdery as well, but not really. I think that is more due to the lack of the feathery imprint, whereas the Leopard I do think is actually different. And then we also have this luminescent eye shade. This was a limited edition one from years ago. This one's called Mare, and it's a gorgeous shade. It's not really part of this luminescent eye shade collection, but I think these were the first ones that really used that formula, and you can see it's a beautiful seafoam green. There were some other shades in that collection. Unfortunately, that's the only one that I have. So beautiful. And I know that, if you want these back, tell CHANTECAILLE, and hopefully they'll bring these colors back. I know that some of the shades have been highly requested. This was the Positano collection. So I know that collection as a whole was very well loved by consumers. So definitely check those out. So these are all of my CHANTECAILLE luminescent eye shades. And again, just the Leopard formula I think is different. The Tiger, feels slightly thinner to me, but I think that could be, an effect of just not having any sort of raised design on there, which decreases the amount of product surface area that you're in contact with. But I think performance-wise on the lid, it feels the same as the other shadows do, except for Leopard, which really feels a lot thinner and more like the Bobbi Brown Luxe shadows. All right, so overall thoughts. I just say I really love CHANTECAILLE's luminescent eye shades. They are one of my favorite eyeshadows. I think they are a very expensive eyeshadow, $52 for a single eyeshadow. It isn't cheap, but I do really, really love these. I love these two new shades as well. I do think though that Giraffe is very, very close. And if you already have one, or if you're trying to decide between the two, I don't think that you really need to have both of them. I think it's really more a matter of finishing or deciding what finish you prefer. Do you prefer something that is going to be more of this satin formula, or something that is going to be a little bit more, it's a little bit richer in depth and it has more shimmer. So which style do you prefer? But I do think the actual base shade of them is very, very close. Yes, there are some differences in people who love these as much as I do. Perhaps you want to have both of them. But, I think for the general consumer, the shades, they are close enough that you really, you don't need to have both. I mean, I think it's easier to see here, but you can see this one here is Leopard. This one's Giraffe. The actual base of these is very, very close. As for the green Tiger shade, I love green eyeshadows. And yeah, I really like this green. I particularly like it wet. I have it dry on my eyes right now with a finger. And, I really think however much product you want to see will determine, what you use. If you use a synthetic brush, you're getting a very light wash. Go to a natural hair, you get a little bit more. Progress to a finger, you get more, and then move on to wet to make it even more intense. And I think it is beautiful. Now, these shades are shimmery, so you will get a little bit of fallout, not really with the brown one so much, because again, that one's not as shimmery, but the luminescent eye shades in general, it is not uncommon to get some of the sparkle as some fallout on your face. I don't really get it throughout the day as I'm wearing it, but I do use a primer, so that could definitely help. And when you use it wet, that also helps with that. So definitely some ways that you can deal with that. I don't think the fallout situation's that bad, but I do know that some people do not like that. So definitely something to note. If you're somebody who really hates any fallout of any kind, you will see some sparkle from this. So in summation, for me, I'm very happy that I picked up both of these shades. I really do love them. I have to say though that I prefer the traditional luminescent eye shade formula in all of these, and the Tiger one's good too, over the Leopard one. I like it, but I find it a little bit harder to use. Like it's a little bit, if I put too much in one area, it's harder for me to blend out than it is with the other formula. And although I think it is most similar to the Bobbi Brown Luxe shadows, I have to say I prefer the Bobbi Brown Luxe formula over the one in the Leopard. I still like this, so I'm not saying that I don't like it, but I'm just saying that formula-wise, if I had to pick, I would prefer the formula in the other luminescent eye shades or in this compared to this. But I do still like this, and I think it's nice if, you know, just make sure you know what it is before you go into it. So thank you. And for those of you who have made it all the way at the end, I did want to say thank you with a little Chantecaille giveaway. So this is open to everybody. I'm located in the United States, so if I can ship it to you, you are eligible to enter. I just need you to give me a way to contact you, and then you have 24 hours. You know, if you're the winner, you have 24 hours to respond to me with your mailing address information and so forth, so I can send these out. So basically, let me show you what we've got here. We have a Chantecaille Philanthropy Cheek Shade in Joy. This is the horse. We have the zebra shade, so that's this rose gold shade right up here. And the Eclat Brillant highlighter. So I used this during one of the eye looks. It's a really beautiful gold highlight. Love it. I also have one of the eyeliners in Amethyst and one of the Faux Ciel Longest Lash Mascaras. So all of these will go together to one lucky winner. And all you need to do is comment down below with, you know, your favorite luminescent eye shade, whether you have one or not, what's your favorite color, and then leave me some contact information. So it could be an Instagram handle, which would probably be easiest if you're on Instagram, or an email address, but it's somewhere that you need to make sure that you are checking the day that I draw these. So we are going to end this on Wednesday. So Wednesday, August 18th is going to be the last day. I will be drawing names at 9 a.m. Eastern time on Wednesday, the 18th. So you have until that point to leave a comment down below with a way for me to contact you and your favorite luminescent eye shade. And that's it. That's all you have to do to enter. Thank you all so much for all of your support. And I love doing these like little giveaways. So, you know, just do them randomly. So thank you so much for tuning in. And again, you know, if you haven't subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It's right down below. And I will see you soon. So good luck. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if this was helpful, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I will see you very soon. Have a great day.